Thank you, Jami sir. Honorable Chairperson BISP, Honorable Secretary BISP, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mansoor Ali and I am the Deputy Director NSCR. As Jami sir said, I will take you through the evolution of the national social safety nets of Pakistan, the targeting systems that have evolved over time in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, when the social protection schemes in Pakistan were conceived, literature suggests that every scheme that has been launched in Pakistan has adopted a targeting system. Dr. Tahir Noor in his presentation has already talked about some targeting systems. I will take you through the targeting systems. As you can see on your screens that the many social protection schemes in Pakistan, like the cash transfer schemes, the school feeding programs, the public works program, the employment-related benefit programs, and the disaster management programs, all made use of targeting systems like beneficiaries through local notables, that is the community-based targeting Dr. Tahir Noor has talked about, the community wealth tracking targeting that is used by the NGOs, the categorical targeting used by the disaster management agencies, and the self-targeting, which BISP is also testing right now. Although at that time no systematic evaluation of the targeting system existed in Pakistan, however, while drafting the National Social Protection Strategy of Pakistan, an assessment was made which noted that all of these targeting systems had some loopholes. For example, the assessment noticed that there's a higher degree of variance in the implementation and effectiveness of the program. There were a large number of inclusion and exclusion errors, and there was a weak monitoring system. So the National Social Protection Strategy of Pakistan suggested for the consideration of a more robust, scientific and dynamic scientific registry, which is the poverty scorecard, which I'll talk about later in my presentation. As Dr. Tahir talked about different presentation, I will take you through every targeting strategy that has been employed with specific examples to the programs that used it and what are the loopholes that led to the creation of the National Socio-Economic Registry. The first is the self-targeting registry, which is used widely in the world. However, the advantages of this registry is that it only caters to a specific population, that is to the poor, or to launch programs for a specific nature. So that is self-targeting. In Pakistan, a public works program like the Khushhal Pakistan program and the microfinance program made use of this targeting strategy. The performance of these programs, however, not up to the mark, in the sense that they only targeted a specific segment of the society, which is the poorest of the poor. And it is an advantage as well as a disadvantage at the same time, because to develop a registry like NSCR, it does not cover the whole population. It only caters to a specific section of the population. Next is the community welfare ranking, which is also called community-based targeting, which is widely used by the rural support networks in Pakistan. The advantages of this targeting system is that local notables identify the poorest of the poor in their communities. However, there is a big element of bias in it. So there is a high intensity of interference in the selection process. These programs have high to level meter of effectiveness. However, they require a lot of human resource, and they do not cover the whole population as well. The third is the geographic targeting, which has been used by the disaster management agencies in Pakistan, as well as the school feeding program, the Tawana Pakistan program that was launched in the program. Although this targeting strategy is very good in terms of its coverage, however, implementation issues and lack of a baseline good survey led to the failure of this program. There was a lack of up-to-date welfare map, which led to the failure of this program, and this targeting strategy could not bear results. Next is the geographic targeting, which is the quota-based plus selection. It is a hybrid type of targeting which is used by the Zakat and Baitul Mal program in the country. However, these programs suffer through a lack of poor designing, lead capture, politicization, and a high inclusion and exclusion errors, due to which this targeting strategy also could not develop. So the key lessons that the policymakers at that time learned was weak design because of the vague definition of the eligibility criteria. BISP, when it was developed, it developed a very clear eligibility criteria. However, the lesson that we learned from the previous programs were they were lacking in the eligibility criteria. There was a non-comparability over the space. There was a poor implementation of the program. There was an absence of a robust data management system, which Ahmed will talk about later in the program, and verification checks. there was risk of politicization, elite capture, as well as weak M&E mechanisms that led to the failure of these programs. So when BISP was launched in 2008 with a short-term objective of cushioning upward from the effects of the inflation, and the medium-term objective of providing a social platform for exit graduation strategies, policymakers had a lot of databases to choose from. For example, the existing Baitul Mal database, the Zakat database, the NADRA database, the RSP's database, parliamentarian database that was being used by the government of Punjab at that time. And there was an option of selecting the PMT, which was the suggestion of the National Social Protection Strategy. The government was in a hurry to launch the program, so they favored the parliamentarian-based system. However, things evolved. The consultations between the government, civil society organizations, and the development partners led to the development of a poverty scorecard system, which I'll discuss later. So, as Dr. Tahirur has briefly touched in his presentation about the targeting phase 1, in which the MNAs and MPAs were distributed 8,000 forms and 100,000 forms each. 4.2 million forms were dispersed, out of which 3.2 million was received back. BISP applied initial eligibility criteria on the basis of which 2.2 million forms were accepted, and payments to these beneficiaries started in January 2009. However, when the poverty scorecard evolved, most of these payments phased out in June 2011. Up till now, BISP is also paying to these beneficiaries, but these beneficiaries have been recertified through the new poverty survey. The eligibility criteria in the first phase was, the inclusion criteria was possession of a CNIC by a woman. It is the first time in the history of Pakistan that a woman was made the beneficiary of a welfare program, having a monthly income of less than 6,000 rupees. Exclusion criteria in that program was the possession of a machine-readable passport, national identity card for overseas Pakistanis, and a foreign bank account. And anyone working in the government was also excluded from the program. So what is a poverty scorecard? Poverty scorecard is a set of variables to identify and predict the welfare status of the household. Essentially, it's a proxy means test in which proxies or variables are used to determine the welfare status of the household. And the principles of this poverty scorecard are predictable but simple, and it detects poverty with some accuracy. Each question is easily observable and measurable, and it minimizes the reporting by the household, since the door-to-door survey is conducted at the house, and there is less chance of cheating. So the total score of the poverty welfare status, which is so it means the lower the score a household has, the more chances it has to be best beneficiary household. The first data that was used to generate the poverty scorecard was the Pakistan Social and Living Standards Measurement Survey. BISP opted for this PSLM because there was no single, because both these PMT and the PSLM, the weights of the variables were usually similar. It ensures high coverage across the two deciles, and no question carries a too large a weight. When BISP piloted the initial survey, door-to-door survey, the later scorecard was improved on the basis of the lessons learned. So BISP switched to targeting phase 2, in which BISP opted for a door-to-door survey, in which the PMT-based questionnaire was designed in collaboration with the World Bank. A PMT score was cut-off score was set up at 16.17, which I'll talk about in detail why it was selected like that. The pilot was launched in December 2009, and the national rollout was launched in December 2010. Partner organizations were hired through competitive bidding, except Balochistan, where PCO was hired. Door-to-door survey of the entire country was conducted, and 27 million households and 155 million population was covered in the survey. This is the poverty scorecard, which I would like to show. This, in which the poverty scorecard covers age, CNIC, the assets, the households held, and it also created a household roster information that was missing from the earlier programs. For example, every household member had the CNIC of the every household members was recorded. Additional information was also collected on disability, employment status, education, age, marital status, and the possession of CNIC, which is a unique feature in the history of Pakistan. So So the calculation of the PMT was done on the basis of some variables which included education level of the household, quality of rooms, correlating with the number of people living in the household, number of dependents, types of toilet, electronic appliances as well. So 16.17, most people think that it is the poverty line. No, it is not the poverty line. The consideration of the 16.17 as a cutoff score was based on two very important decisions. The policy decision for the first was for the government was the availability of funds to launch the program. Second was the benefit amount that was decided for the program. On the implementation level, it was also considered that a grievance redressal mechanism that was missing from the earlier programs is going to be developed. So a consideration for 3 to 4% addition of beneficiaries in the program was added. And the enrollment rate as the survey covered whole of the population was also taken into account. So 16.17 was decided on the basis of the budget available with the government. It was estimated that on the basis of sample collected on the 16 districts, that if BISP gives stipends to 5 million beneficiaries, it will cover 59.6 billion rupees would be required to pay them. So that is why 16.17 was set a cutoff score. As of now, BISP has 7.7 million beneficiaries, out of which 5.7 are active beneficiaries and 2.1 are pending beneficiaries due to the non-availability of CNICs with these beneficiaries. The targeting performance of BISP has been acknowledged all over the world. BISP targeting system is considered number 5th in the world, which is one of the best in the world. I mean, there are more than 160 social safety nets in the world, out of which BISP stands at number 5. BISP led to an increase of the women registration, which led to the women empowerment. As per the figures given to us by the NADRA, there is a 104% increase in the women registration just because of BISP. You can see in this graph that before the launch of BISP, the level of women possessing CNIC was negligible. However, as soon as the program was launched, it skyrocketed. Third-party evaluations were also conducted about the program, and they found that the program covered 87% of the population. The targeting performance evaluation showed that there was a little difference in the original survey and the targeting performance survey, and 85% of the processes have been followed. Another qualitative aspect of these programs was that when the political elite tried to capture this program and the survey organization interacted with them and told them about the program design, it led to a capacity building not only of the local elite, the politicians, the civil society, media, and the population, but also it also enhanced the capacity of the civil society organizations that were conducting the survey. It also established the rate of the government, saw the presence of the government in areas where it was negligible earlier. So BISP definitely has launched a very important program for Pakistan. Now it is the time that we go for the updation of this program as per the national standards, for which Dr. Noor has already gave you detailed presentation. Thank you very much.